Here we are again. I have the wrong camera on. Let me see if I can fix that. My camera might die, so we'll see. Ah, yes. To plug it in. Much better. Hello. Not that it makes a big deal or anything, but if I do this, hey, you can see my sweet mustache progress is coming along. I feel like I've got almost like a Ned Flanders thing going on, although not brown, but still coming in kind of thick now. We'll see. Anyway, let's get to code. Picking up from where we left off yesterday, if we look at the browser, we've got an interesting error message where the text content did not match server. On the server, I have an empty. On the client, I have a T. I don't know where that's coming from. But looking at our code, we are randomly generating some guesses on presumably on the server. So this may be different. This may be throwing an error because if this runs twice, this is going to get different values because of the math random. So I wonder if that's what's going on. But anyway, let's get to where we left off. Where we left off yesterday. Funny story. I was doing the stream and struggling with this endpoint, which should work. Where I have this project and I have a form here, and this form doesn't define any actions, which means it should default to submitting the request to whatever page the form is currently on. That's what the default browser does. That's what Remix should do. And let's see, let me get back to where I was yesterday. No, I can't get it. Okay, well, spoiler alert. So here we were. We followed the Remix documentation, which says, hey, if you're going to submit a form data to a route, that route has to be defined in the route action, which is what I had here. And I'm just going to comment this out, because let's not worry about that. Close that. And when we go back to our browser, we have this form, and let's see, can you see that all right? Let's bump that up a little bit. Cool, so there's our form. It doesn't have the action, as we would expect. So when I submit it, it should technically go to the current route, which here is the root domain. And if I go to my routes in my Remix folder, it is the root route, the index.js route. However, when I submit it and I say test to set and submit, I get this error that says you made a post request to that root route, but did not provide an action for the route. There's no way to handle the request. And sure enough, someone called it out on the stream yesterday and said, I bet you're going to figure it out as soon as you turn the stream off. And sure enough, I turned the stream off yesterday and I figured it out. And the problem is that although this is technically the component or route handler that's running at the root domain, Remix actually did give me a handy console error that said it should actually be in this root route or root component. So if I pull that back here, if I backtrack and get my action here, this is the root component. This is where we define our application's root element or the index.html. This is going to be the root for every page that is built in Remix, presumably, or at least the template for it. So that's why we had to put this here. And I wonder if I needed to submit this post request to like index.html or something, but I don't know. What up, Web Dev Journey? You are consistent. Very happy to have you back. You got any questions for me today, or just here for the show? Right, so did I fix the post request thing? You know, it's funny because I was just explaining that you yeah, I just talked about it. So it's funny because I was saying how during the show yesterday, you had mentioned that probably as soon as the stream ended, I'm going to find the solution. And sure enough, you're some sort of prophet, because I got off the stream and then it hit me that this message here, let's see if I can bump this up. This message here says, error, you made a post request to this root domain path or root path, right? But did not put an action for the route root. And that was the hint that I didn't really understand yesterday, because I assumed that because I'm in my routes folder, which represents the routes of my application, and I had this index.html or index.jsx file where I had my action defined, I thought that that was how you're supposed to do it. Apparently, there's an exception for actions that happen at the root route, which is that they have to be defined at the root JSX component. And the root JSX component does not live within the routes folder, but it represents the basic structure of your HTML document. So apparently I had to put the action here, figured that out right after the stream, as you predicted. And I think that actually solved it. So now if I type something and hit submit, I do get, let's see, I don't know if we'll actually see it. That was my post request. There was my payload. My guess was SDFSD. So yeah, apparently that's it. That's sending the payload. If we go to our backend, oh, right. Let's see. It always resets this font size. What is that? Is that what I want? No. I want big font size, please. Is that the best I can do? 16 by 12? 12 by 16? I guess 12 by 16 we can try. Oh, it's ugly, but it's bigger. At least you can read it better. I'm not sure what happened there. But anyway, what I was looking for is, yeah, when my post request gets hit, it looks like my content is being logged right before my post request information is being logged. So my node form data shows that my fields are a guess with my content. It was better before. Really, you can read that. It's so much smaller before, though. Is this going to be okay? Wow, that's even worse. Okay, 16 by 8. Let's try that. Oh my gosh, I made it even worse. What am I doing? Okay, so let's try that. Yeah, that's okay, right? That's okay. It's a little bit better. Let's stick with that. No, it's not. I'm such a Perfectionist. Okay. I don't think that's what I want. That's better. I like that. Okay. Cool. So it's logging our fields, which is kind of weird that it's at this fields key. So where is that being logged? So that's the request body, right? Is form data. Okay, so it's giving me a form data object, which I thought was a DOM, like a browser specific API. So they may be, I wonder if this is not like a real form data, because in fact, I'm not even sure if you log a form data, if it would actually look like this, but it might behave like form data, like the browser, which means that we should be able to say object from entries on that body, and this should actually log like an object. In fact, we can even, let's say we want to return that. Okay, that should be good to go. We do our thing, we hit submit, our request goes out with the payload, the response is HTML. I guess that makes sense. And I guess I'm not logging it, so I wouldn't see it in the console. So yeah, so I think Remix kind of does this weird thing for you, where if a request is made with JavaScript, you can return JSON so that you can handle that request with JavaScript. But if it's an HTML request, then it doesn't make sense to return JavaScript. And so the response from that request is HTML. And technically this is the HTML of our document because it doesn't have the styles coming in, right? So we can see that's what it looks like. That's just the preview. So let's try logging something now. We hit submit, we do that, we log our guess. Yeah, and sure enough, we do have an object now that looks more like an object rather than this weird object with underscore fields. I think it's a fake form data, which is fine. Cool, so we've got our data. So now what I want to do is kind of imitate something that's going on with this post thing, which is what we sort of had built out following the documentation from Remix, where I'm going to say, essentially what I want to do is have some sort of server-side data that tracks the state of the application. So in our case, we're talking about guesses that someone is making. And we're talking only about the guesses that they have submitted already. So when someone types, we don't really care whether they type a bunch of stuff because they might want to change their mind. We don't care about every individual key press on the server side. But we do care about once they hit enter and submit that form, we want to, then run our logic on whether the guesses are correct or not. So I'm going to start with a file called guesses. I think I'm going to pretty much get rid of, well, I'll keep one. I'll get rid of the contents of it, and I'm going to rename it to get guesses, I guess. That doesn't need to be asynchronous. I'm not even sure I need that function, but we're going to see. Is valid attributes. Right, because there was this invariant thing, which was an interesting use case. I don't know if I need that though. I don't need these type definitions. parse front matter. I don't need that front matter because that was coming from reading files on the disk. Don't need the file system package. Don't need that. Don't need that. Don't need path because we're not reading from the disk. I don't need that. Is valid post attributes. So this is just to validate that a post has a title, which I think we also don't need, which means we probably don't need this invariant package. Okay, so that means this should all be good to go. What I want is essentially, I want to track the state of guesses. So I'm going to pull this out of here. I'm going to put it in here. This should not be get posts. It should be get guesses. Doesn't need to be that. Doesn't need to be this. And I'm going to instantiate. Oops. I'm going to instantiate this as an empty array. We'll start with that. I might even just do this. Let's start with this. Start simple. Let's not overcomplicate it. Export guesses, it's empty array. And then we don't, do I need root? I will need root to update the guesses on that action because we can't do it from index.jsx. So in root, we're going to update. In index, we're going to read. So we're going to say import well, that's going to be a named export. So guesses from, I think I need to go up just one directory. And it's kind of annoying that I'm not getting my IntelliSense telling me what's in each directory, but okay. And we can start with that, right? Let's just assume that we're importing that data now. Our application should still work. We'll do a little sanity check and reload. And cool, it looks like our guesses are still there. And then I need to be able to update them. So I want to go back here and say that they're once again going to just be oops. Oh, no, that's fine. I want it to be just an empty string. Okay. Cool. We've got our styles. There's nothing in them, which makes sense. I should probably set a minimum height and width for those, but that's fine. And got some padding. We've got some background color. All right, that's fine. Oh, we've got, right, our empty, because they're empty, the box shadow is there. I realized after the stream yesterday that this empty thing is not actually going to work for us, because if we look at the Worldle example, they do have a border when they are empty, but until you've guessed, they also have a border. So empty is not going to work for us. So we'll get back and fix that another time. In the meantime, I want to solve these guesses, right? So let's see. Basically, what I want to do is when I submit this form, I want to update the status of the guesses on the server, which I want to then be reflected back here on the front end. So I wonder if en route we're going to do that same thing. Import guesses from guesses. Thank you. And on post, we're going to say that guesses is an array of all empty things. So we'll just say that guesses at the index equals body.get guess, and that's going to get my string, and I want to actually store that as an array. Prefer spread operator over split. I don't really care, but okay, sure. This is what happens when you let robots run your life. So what we're going to do is we're going to set the initial value, and I'll figure out this logic later. But we're basically going to take that initial value and set it to a new array where we split the values, each character of the guess field. Hope that is clear. And then that's fine, but let's console log guesses. Okay, we've got our application. We have ASDFF. We submit that. The front end, I still don't know how we're supposed to get that data back. Oh, that's weird. That's not what I expected. And we do get what I expect on the back end. So the back end is saying, hey, now that we've updated your array of guesses, this is what the first one looks like. Okay. And otherwise we have this empty list. That's working. But our front end, oh, you know what? Our front end should actually be correct. At least what we're getting from the server is correct. What we're getting in our, yeah, it looks weird because the rest were empty and not styled. That's right. So in the network request, in the network response, we basically have the first 5 are ASDFF, and then the next 25 are empty strings, so you're not going to see it. So that makes sense. Okay, cool. Next step is how do I feel like Remix kind of has this promise of consolidating or coordinating the backend data to the front end data. So the fact that our backend data is sending the right response is a good thing. Now, how do we consolidate or make them both connect? And my suspicion is that that Remix form component that we saw actually plays a role here. Remix package has some components and hooks. Navlink form. Okay, so form is a component, is a declarative way to perform data mutations, creating, updating, deleting. While it might be a mind shift to think about these tasks as navigation, yes, but technically the browser refreshes, so I get that. Yeah, it's how the web handled mutations since before JavaScript was created. That's right. So whether JavaScript is on the page or not, your data interactions created with form and action will work. After a form submission, all of the loaders on the page will be reloaded. That's the problem, is we are not grabbing the data in a loader here. So in order to load the data onto the page, we need a loader. I haven't done anything with loaders yet. I'm not feeling this music. Can you hear the music? I mean, like, decently? Too loud? Too soft? I can barely hear it. So I want to change the music. Yes, you can hear it. It's just right. What's up? We're on lo-fi right now. I'm going to change it to down tempo or maybe hip hop. Let's try down tempo. That's too down tempo for me. I want some hip hop. Boy, I'll tell you, I'll spend... Oh, you're taking off? All right, Web Dev Journey. Love you coming by. Thank you. Feel free to have some, other things you want to bring by. I'm going to keep hacking at this, and we'll see if we can have something cool soon. All right? See ya. Apparently it didn't like my taste in music. Chill music. All right, cool. Why not? Okay, so it doesn't have anything to do with the action. It has to do with the loaders. So use loader data. Turns JSON parsed from your route loader function. Okay, this is it. This is what I need. Although use action data may also be it. This hook returns the JSON parsed from your route action. It returns undefined if there hasn't been a submission at the current location yet. Okay, so one of them is a loader, one of them is an action. One's going to give me the data back once I have submitted a form. Maybe. We're going to start with the loader. Okay, use loader data. I'm going to pull that there from Remix. And then that's going to be my component. This is my loader. I like my links up top for some reason. My loader is going to return my guesses. Okay. And then I need to pull in my guesses from const guesses equals use loader data. Right, because we had done that before. Up here, that's it. Okay, get posts, I'm getting it now. And I don't think I need to add the type definitions here, it's fine. Guesses are guesses. All right, let's see if that did it. We should not have the, I don't know if we have that. Let's try a new guess. Sadfa. Oh, look at that. Sadfa. That was a Sadfa guess. Cool. That's working. Or at least moving on. So let me fix all my next guesses. Okay, so this logic is no bueno. So here's the thing is, I'm not sure that having my guesses just be 600 items is quite right. This is good for the setting up the front end, but it's not quite what I need. So I think that this logic actually needs to move, and guesses is just going to be an empty array. In my root, I want to get guesses at guesses.length -1. So this should be the no. This should just push a new item. Guesses dot push a new array with my data, and then we don't need that. We can return guesses, I suppose. And then in my component, so guesses could be an empty array at this point. Guesses, in fact, begins as an empty array. So I want to say that const grid, I don't know, guesses grid. I wonder how I'm gonna like this. Equals array from, so it's going to be a length of 6, and then we map over each item and then the index, and I'm going to pull this into curly braces, and say that this function is going to return guesses at index or an empty array. I don't even know if this is such a good idea, but we'll see. So the theory is that this will create a new array of length of 6 in which we will either grab whatever is at the current, or as we loop over each of the 6 items, we'll either grab the corresponding array from the guesses array, so two-dimensional array, and if it doesn't exist, then we'll just pop in an empty, like a default one. So it looks like we have our 6 rows, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, with 5 items each, so that's working. And then if we say tests, we get our first row filled in, and then we say puppy, and that's not working. So that is not working because my guesses are being overwritten. That's fine. Root. My root action is saying, that's interesting. I want to log before and after how this is going to look. So it's rebuilding, it's built, this is running. We say tests. This should log before and after, correct? And then we say puppy, and the before there is once again an empty array. So this is another interesting thing. It looks like the state of the application doesn't persist, which makes sense because Remix is supposed to be somewhat stateless in order to be edge native. So let's look at data rights. You submit, use plain HTML forms, verbs, get requests, HTML post requests. Yeah. So we get that, and we redirect there. Default mutation, start to finish, JavaScript optional, validation, error handling. Okay, so we build a form. Cool. This looks like similar to where we are. And then in our actions, we grab the data. Okay, which makes sense. Assuming create post does what we want it to. So I wonder if I have to write this to the file system, which doesn't correspond to my previous comment about it being edge native, because if I can't store data in memory, why can I store data in the file system? This is weird. I wonder if this is something I need to use React state for. Well, we can try that. Import use state from React. Thank you. And then we can say, what is it? Something like this, right? Guesses equals use state with an initial value, an empty thing, and then export guesses. No, export const guesses and export const set guesses. Okay, fine. Let's see. This needs to be. Can I just export? Can I just export like this? Seems like it. Okay. Okay, export let guesses and set guesses equals use state. So now in our root, we are going to import guesses and set guesses. And instead of pushing, we're going to say set guesses is going to be guesses and then this new array. So we get each of the previous ones, we get this new array, and I think that should be hooked up correctly with the use state stuff. So now let's try this one more time. Oh, invalid hook call. Hooks can only be called inside the body of a function component. That totally makes sense. So I'm getting an error here. All right, this is also frustrating. Remix, you are a worthy adversary. I want to see if I can keep stuff in memory. Create memory session storage. Okay. This storage keeps all the cookie information in your server's memory. Right. Because it's storing the session in memory. Okay. I just want to store some data in memory and modify it. And all of the data stuff so far is assuming I'm using some sort of database. Which eventually, yes, I may do that. Okay. Wait. I'm not wrong about how array push works, right? Returns the items in the array, yeah. And yeah, I should get my array back. Returns the length of the array. Let me push. Okay, so we can't use set guesses. And for some reason, guesses does not. Well, I guess I'm going to have to do something similar to this. This is annoying. I don't want to. Because yeah, this stores data there. All right, I'm going to get an answer for this and come back. But in the meantime, let's pop over to, let's see, let's fix our root, refresh that. That should work now. No. Here's the problem. I'm going to undo all that work. Oops. Guess I don't need that. Okay. I'm still having issues with hooks, huh? Is it just because I'm... Oh, no, that doesn't make sense. This is fine. Index should be fine. This should work. There we go. Heart. Okay, so it's not persisting the data is the problem. So interesting. The application is not rebuilding, it's still running, and yet it's not storing in-memory data. Okay, well, I'm gonna have to come back to that. In the meantime, let's get these working. I'm going to do some grid design in the browser. I want this grid to be, what is it? Align items center? No. Justify content center? Align content center? There you go. That's also not what I wanted. Justify item center. I want to bring everything. I want the grid itself to be centered. Basically, I want all of my grid items to squish. I also really don't know why this gap isn't working. So weird. Let's see. Let's figure that out. Oh, shoot. I bet I know the problem. No. That's the problem. Dang it. It's because these are different grids. They're not in the same grid system. Okay, cool. That makes a lot of sense. So my grid should actually be right. I want this mapping to happen inside of my grid here. So this is correct. This needs to come down, and this needs to come up. If I hit save there, does that work for me? I need this to be, what is it, one of those guys? Hey, what are you doing? I think that's it. You actually don't need a key now, and you don't need an index. Cool. Guest index not found. Hey, there you go. There's my gaps. Cool. So now we've got one grid with 30 items in it, as expected. Okay, and I want my grid items to still justify content. No, justify items. That's not quite what I want either. I don't think justify is it. I think it is justify content though. No? So align content? No. Align items? Oops. Is also not it. Oh man, CSS grid. So where is it? I want all of my items to squish. Place now. Right, here's the justify items. Align items is not it. Place items. Place items, I think, is how I do like centered. Let's see. No, place items. Place content. No, it's not it. Place items. Close, but not quite. This is what I want. Justify contents. Justify content center. I thought I tried that. In fact, it's not working. Okay. It's definitely this one. Justify content. Thought that was what I wanted. Well, we made a little bit of progress here today. We've got our data loading initially correctly and after the first guess. But it's not quite right. So and I just noticed, oh, the way my camera froze, that's funny. Still frozen, huh? What's going on with that? Oh well. Backup camera. All right, so I guess one thing I want to figure out too is if the Worldle okay, so the letter index. This is going to be some logic in here that is also not going to be very sexy, but if right, let's do this. If the okay, so if my Worldle at the letter index equals letter, then we'll do my green background. Get rid of this logic here. Otherwise, if my Worldle dot includes letter, we'll do background yellow, Otherwise, we'll do background gray. Oh, no, not gray. Gray. Cool. That is the logic that we want to capture. So far, none of them do, although this one is, or they all have background yellow for some reason. I think I want to do if there's not a letter, then we want to do really nothing. Otherwise, we'll do the rest of this logic, which is really ugly. Okay, so they don't have any of those other classes. The word is trout, and if I say tests, then we get T in the correct place, E is not correct, S is not correct, T is the correct letter but in the wrong place, and S is not in the word. The Worldle. Cool. I'm going to stop there because I think that was some enough work. This is really ugly. This would probably we'd want to refactor, but that's not going to happen for a while because I want to make sure that it's working first before I start changing too much stuff. Cool. Well, that's it for today. Still having a couple snags with Remix, but we're also working through it, which is cool. And I think by the end of this, it's going to be a cool implementation where we'll have some interesting client-side, server-side stuff. And we're just here messing around anyway. Thanks for checking out the stream. Hope you enjoyed it. And if you have any questions, comments, etc., bring them to the next stream. Should be on tomorrow at 3 p.m. Pacific Standard. So see you later.